Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be a couple of old bots taking each other on. It's going to be Anniebot taking on TyrT. And I honestly didn't think I was probably going to cast another TyrT game for a while. However, I did see that Tyr has been getting an update. How significant of an update that is, I'm not too sure. But you can kind of peep the ladder and the bot's profile pages and see that they've been queuing up some games versus certain other competitors, maybe trying to solve certain problems in their bot. But yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. And then subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, we put out daily bot videos here. It's like Anniebot does want to send out its SCV. Oh, wait, I didn't know that you could actually stab through there. Huh. I wonder, is that like a problem with the map? I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe that's just not something like a human would think to do, because normally, like, if the SCV was attacked, it would path away. But then if it's getting move commands, that is something I've never seen before. Man, StarCraft 2 is the gift that just keeps on giving. That's a very unique situation, but well done to Anniebot for getting that kill, I suppose. As Tyr's scouting SCV does get taken down. And then we do get a Marine on the way out. So, yeah, Anniebot and Tyr are two bots that have got some updates recently. They're both very solid bots. And I have no idea how a TVT is going to play out between them, as they both have interesting play styles. I think I'd describe Tyr sort of as like a limited macro bot, in that it does like to take a few bases and then go for a push if there's nothing else going on. It's like the Reaper of Tyr wants to path towards this base, but it shall never get there. So the bot author may not have solved the problem of the gold minerals yet, and we'll see if that becomes a factor later in this game or not, when it does come to securing like a potential third base, which may be by these gold minerals or something like that. But yeah, it does go to show that even the best written code can have problems if it's put into a new environment, as it's hard to solve problems when you haven't ever dealt with them before. So, but that's probably something that I imagine the bot author of Tyr will fix if they are actively updating their bot. Now, Anniebot does have an armory on the way, getting up a command center, as it did say tag mech at the start of this game. So Anniebot is a bot that has many different strategies, but mech is a strategy that's more restricted to PvP, I'd say, or pardon me, TVT, as yeah, like, it's just very strong. Mech is quite good against bio in bot games. It's a little bit underexplored, like strict sort of mech, but as the compositions are different compared to what humans use. Now, we do get Tyr looking to move on out, as it's got its Reapers and Hellions coming on in. I'm curious how this is going to go as it tries to run up this ramp into two Widow Mines, just dives right on in on top of its opponent's Hellions, two more Reapers coming on in, and holy cow, the action is getting started in this game all of a sudden. Well done by Tyr, though, for avoiding that second Widow Mine, and now it's going to grab some SCVs at this natural base, as Anniebot does have a Hellion of its own pop on out, but the Reapers are able to get a decent number of SCVs. This other Reaper is unfortunately slacking, still assigned to scouting duty, but all in all, the damage done there, well, it was only 2 SCVs, but 3 Hellions for 1 Hellion and a Reaper, so that's not a bad trade from Tyr. Behind this, Tyr does have its own natural base up. It's getting a Raven out, so just very cool, aggressive micro. Very refreshing to see a bot that kind of overcommits rather than undercommits and sort of runs away. Now Tyr's coming in with its Reaper and Hellion, trying its luck once again. Reapers take some damage, then retreat. This Hellion may actually get the other Hellion. It does retreat away, almost eats the Widow Mine, and it will actually eat the mine that time. Friendly Fire kills off a few SCVs. So very interesting engagement between these bots. Tyr drops a scan on the burrowed Widow Mine. A bit of a wasted opportunity there, but still very exciting early game skirmishes between these bots. We've still just got Tyr on 1-1-1 production, whereas Anniebot does have up double factory, now getting up its own starport. The fact that there is a tank out now will probably end this kind of shenanigans, as looks like Anniebot may be moving out to secure a third base. However, this Reaper says no way. Anniebot, though, very good redundancy, does just bounce towards another base. So, okay, it's just going to take the upper left. It says if I can't have the, what is that, southern 12 o'clock position base, then give me the upper left. Now, Tyr is getting aggressive, going for a tank Marine Raven push. A Widow Mine is revealed by that Raven, so the Raven worth its weight in gold. It does reposition as well after, oh, it hits the Widow Mine. So the Raven repositions, does reveal that second Widow Mine in order for that to be killed off. Now, Anniebot may want to push down the ramp. It's got Blue Flame on these Hellions, which will do very well against the Marines, but not so well against the tanks. But those Marines were softened up, so the tanks of Anniebot hold the line incredibly well. And we've got a little bit of a stalemate here. And now, this is something that's very difficult to program, I imagine. Man, if I had $1 for every time I said that, as, like, tanks, for those of you that don't know, they shoot farther than they can see. So if you pair them with an air unit, you can actually kill your opponent's tanks without losing your own tanks. So air vision actually really matters in TVT. But again, that's something that's quite difficult to program handling of, as Tyr is kind of just moving forward a little bit, but setting its tanks out. Anniebot does try and come down this ramp, and the tanks don't actually have anything to buffer for them. Looks like one of the Ravens gets locked on with a Cyclone, so very good cleanup from Anniebot, as the Hellions kind of just dove on top of the tanks there. And the Red Terran is able to get up its third base, no problems. Now, I'm really wondering if Tyr is going to expand towards the wrong base. Now, fortunately for this map, Torches, the problem does eventually solve itself in the fact that these Zerg rocks do bleed out. So in just a matter of seconds, this base will actually be opened up. It's going to be the long way for Tyr, but it does mean that it's not just forever going to try and path into this location, as that should change the pathing, and there we see it. So, hey, that kind of works out for the bots. It does raise, I guess, an interesting debate as far as the bot scene goes, because there's obviously decisions made as far as what maps are going to be included on the ladder for the bots to compete on. Is something like gold mineral walls something that should just be, say, removed on these maps? Because it does create a lot of programming headaches. For example, Tyr, not updated, is going to try and build its command center on the wrong location. But if we just got rid of gold mineral walls, that wouldn't be a problem. So that's an interesting debate, because, I mean, Torches is a StarCraft 2 ladder map. So if we want the bots to play on the ladder maps, we've got to... Well, I mean, that's the sort of hurdles the bot authors have to deal with. But at the same time, it's... Should we just remove things that make it even more work for programmers that are already very, well, I want to say overworked, but it's a hobby, so not really. Yeah, just they've got a lot on their plate. There's never a shortage of work to do when it comes to programming your bot. So I think that would be a realistic thing, because, for example, we do have old bots that don't get updated that might just never be fixed. For example, who knows if Micro Machine would ever be updated to support this, despite still being one of the top bots out there. So yeah, that's very interesting. And we do still have Tyr building up a nice army, transferring SCVs over to mine from these gold minerals. It's funny, the counter on there was like 24 for a moment, which is not something you get, so this wall will be mined out, and then we'll see if the SCVs go to long distance mining or what after this, as those gold minerals do get gobbled up one after another. Tyr's still building up a very formidable force. Vikings and tanks and marines against the mech composition of Anniebot. Now, Anniebot's economy is quite good. It wasn't delayed by having its base built on the wrong location. Now, yeah, that is one of the things that I think Tyr is limited in that it doesn't seem to try and go for those outer bases as often or at all, from what I can recall. So it might just try and play this game out on like 3-4 bases. And while that's good in the vast majority of games, if you're in a longer game against a meching opponent, that very well could hurt. Now, Tyr's army management is quite good, so we'll see whether it can maybe build up to 200 supply and go for a punch, or it may just be on the defensive, as Anniebot is closer to that 200 supply mark. But no, Tyr will be the one that is getting aggressive. Interesting economic management from Tyr, that it does have its SCVs just hang out till there's another base to mine from, even though it is maxed out. But okay, we do have the blue Terran moving forward, charging into Liberators, tanks sieging up in those Liberators. Vikings are helping pick off most of those in the sky. Unfortunately, everything is deleted prior to that, so Anniebot kind of just wrecks Tyr in that regard. Medivac's going to go down as well, and now Anniebot, very cool, may just be going for a bit of a counter blow. One Thor cannot stand against so many Hellions. The Hellions of Anniebot are very aggressive as well, so it looks like we may just be having Tyr fall here, unfortunately, although Anniebot does scan and goes home for a second, but I'm not sure Tyr deserves to be given more time in this game, as its army did just get absolutely annihilated. My apologies for missing the start of that engagement, but yeah, it does seem that Anniebot will dive on top of this. Just strong macro hitting 200 supply. The Liberators, the mech composition with the Cyclones is quite strong. Tyr does lose that third base. Now it looks like it may be trying to expand again, as Anniebot just killed off that location and then is now going home. So Tyr may be given some more time in this game to try and rebuild. Its economy is just terrible though, as it has been using mules, so it's mining out these mineral patches very quickly. Incredibly oversaturated, as Tyr has barely any income at all. It's trying to secure up a third base, but that is going to be shut down by Anniebot. Another tank goes down to Hellions, which is not a comfortable situation for the blue Terran. And I have a feeling that this one's probably just going to be over, as all Anniebot needs to do is attack on in. Although it feels like it can just take the whole map, so why not? As Tyr's got barely any units, it's trying to rebuild at the wrong base location again. Oh, that's so unfortunate, because that base will just be a dud and not help out at all. Which, again, I guess it's a thing that you could have sort of solved as a bot author, because technically this base is mined out. Tyr is not going to send any SCVs to mine over here, although it does drop a mule apparently. But yeah, for example, like if Tyr thinks this base is mined out because it's not going to send any SCVs over here, it shouldn't have, in theory, ever expanded to this location, because there should be a check if there's resources within the radius, I suppose. As that is a thing a lot of bots do. Not a lot of bots have got to the point where, because nobody programs for that last 30 minutes where a bot shouldn't expand to a base that that's already been mined out, basically. That's a lot of extra work, but in this case, it's like, okay, if that had been done, it would have solved Tyr taking this base. Now, Anniebot is just simply turtling up and not attacking, and we may have a reason for that, in the sense that base management as Terran is hard, and we've got a stuck Thor, stuck tank. And I'm guessing Anniebot's waiting for those units before it goes for an attack. And that is just so unfortunate. Now, the red Terran is still taking the entire map. I imagine it would still respond if it's attacked or something like that, but Tyr's still barely mule mining. I've been fast forwarding, but we'll fast forward some more because who knows how long this is going to take. And you just never know what you're going to get when you click on a longer bot replay. 2 mules long distance mining out of base because the SCVs are all on strike apparently. Now, I'm curious, will we ever get another command center from Tyr at this rate? Maybe, maybe not. Anniebot is taking all the bases, quite literally. It's got two more to go. Looks like Tyr does actually find that one. So Anniebot will lose a few bases. It's producing some more Vikings, but these units are still stuck. And the Red Terran, yeah, it wants to group up its units. This is the sort of thing that makes programming your bot a nightmare. Anniebot could have 100% won this game already. Instead, it's giving Tyr time to slowly rebuild, which is not something we'd encounter in a lot of situations. Okay, we do have a bit of a move out from Anniebot to try and defend that base. Tyr still just making Marines, still just long distance, well, mule mining. It's not even long distance mining with its SCVs. As Anniebot is coming on in to try and attack its opponents. Hellions going for their cool dive once again, just deleting all the Marines and then getting on top of the tank. So Tyr's army will be reset. But this seems to be more of like a defensive attack from Anniebot rather than, well, an offensive attack. Okay, but this has got to be it. Tyr's totally dead, right? Command center floats away. Okay, SCVs long distance do decide to long distance mine, and they all die. So apparently they were right in their decision. But Anniebot is, I'm not sure it's ever going to attack here, because this is a much longer replay. And I know you guys said that you enjoy seeing derpy bot games, but I'm not sure about this one. As, yeah, these 2 Thors are stuck, and it's probably because of this starport right here. There was some very cool mapping on the Discord of sort of assessments of a Terran's main base and how to lay out production. Like Tyr's base production looks phenomenal. Whether this is pre-selected or just very good coding, I imagine this is probably just very good base coding for the map from Tyr, because I doubt it. I doubt the bot author updated it to put in building placement like this. So yes, some bot authors have done the sort of work in order to basically pre-map maps bases automatically, because you can basically get info on every hex, and then you can do math to be like, if I put a factory here, it'll need an add-on, so don't build anything here, sort of thing. Decide it. And there is some good logic that you can use in order to have sort of dynamic building placement in your games. But Anniebot is just continuing to mine out the map on this one. I guess in theory, this game may actually be a draw. Kamikaze SCV strategy started. No minerals left. Tyr does eventually GG, thanks to the SCVs of Anniebot, which apparently has Kamikaze SCV strategy, which is just... So Anniebot has a check for if there's no minerals left on the map, or I guess at its bases. There was still minerals on the map, which it actually could see, which is interesting. But I guess just none at any of the bases it had. I guess it gave up trying to take this base after it was shut down a few times, which does make sense. So that is just comical, that we do actually get a GG from Tyr, and that Anniebot did eventually break out of its funk. These kind of games are very derpy, ladies and gentlemen. If you like them, let me know. If you don't, leave a comment down below. I do hope that, like, my sort of insight on how programming works, but we can kind of see, like, Tyr, for example, would not have the problem, or at least not as often have the problem of its units getting stuck, like happened to Anniebot here in this game, that dragged the game out. And so, click that like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel. If you don't enjoy these derpy bot games, all I'll say is send me replays, as that does sort of pre-screen them. I sometimes pre-watch the games, sometimes I just take a chance, and then you never know what you're gonna get. And sometimes what you get is Kamikaze SCVs. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.